Thanks for keeping it tuned always to your love music, love life station, Smooth 98.1. It is a hump of the week, Wednesday morning, 33 minutes past 7 a.m. You're listening to the Smooth Breakfast. Ayokunmi here, ready to take a walk into the papers. Yes, we're going to look at the stories that are making the rounds, get analysis and your thoughts, contributions as well. Welcome to Freshly Pressed, as always. Smack dab in the middle of the week. So many things to get into, so many juicy stories to take a look at. And of course, we're always looking to get your thoughts as well. So you can send your messages, get those thoughts into us on WhatsApp on 0809 444 0981 0809 444 That is the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on YouTube or streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. So you can also drop a comment there. I'll take it as we get along on the show. Once again, if you're just tuning in, welcome to Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast. Joining me to take a look at the stories and, of course, analyze and give his POV, point of view, and perspective. Devoe is in this morning. Good morning to you, Devoe. Welcome to the show. Can you hear me, Devoe? Okay, it looks like right off the bat, technical issues or glitches, because Devo is joining me online at the moment, and it seems like the ghouls and gremlins have decided to jump in. We will definitely work on getting Devo back in. Devo, are you live? Can you hear
Can
me
you
now?
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Welcome to the show.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you loud and
Yeah,
clear,
can
Devo.
you hear me? Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
yes, Devo, loud and clear.
Morning, morning, Lagos. Morning, Lagos. Cool, Gremlins to internet.
I wasn't expecting that one, but anyways, point very well taken. All right, well, let's start the stories this morning in the Punch newspaper, where the federal government and opposition parties they clashed on Tuesday following the criticism of the economic policies of the Bola Tinubu administration by the Delta State governor, that's Sheriff Oborevori. Now, the People's Democratic Party and the new Nigeria People's Party agreed with the governor that Nigerians are being crushed under the weight of Tinubu's economic reforms. But the Minister of Information and National Orientation, that's Mohammed Idris, argued that the reforms had made more resources available to the states. Now, this has become a back and forth. Idris is, accusing the Delta State governor of using those comments as a smokescreen to deflect from his own failings or inadequacies, bearing in mind that states have higher allocations right now. And saying all that one is just him trying to deflect. All he just trying to get all the heat off of him. But I mean, this back and forth that is going on doesn't help anybody at the end of the day.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Devo.
Yes, it doesn't help anybody because they're playing politics. There's something that the presidency has always said that Nigerians have not paid attention to ever since the End Bad Governance protest, which was what I call it the loudest attempt by Nigerians to voice their displeasure with the current reforms. As you know, with the onset of this administration came OT law, which was removal of petroleum subsidy, and then
Mm,
the FX harmonization, which more or less devalued our naira to make it cost reflective because the government could not continue subsidizing dollars. Okay, so um, at the end of the day, despite the fact that it brought about a high cost of living, okay, inflation rose, at least right now it's trending around 36, 40%. Um, the increased cost of petroleum has driven an increased cost in revenue for the federal government and the states, okay, who also collect money for the local government, at least as yet. So there is a strong point by the presidency that half of any blame that is to be given must go to the state. So most states have received between 50 to about 70% increased revenue from what they were doing during the Buhari years. So what that
mm,
means is that no state has an excuse at this point to say that one, that they're cashless, or to say that they couldn't do anything for their people. You know, most times the states keep complaining that they don't have money, that they're in debt. Ask them, where did this debt that we're in, where did it go to? You know, when you talk about France or America or Asia being in debt, you can point to bridges, you can point to estates, you can point
mm,
to the water systems.
The
Basically,
infrastructure
social
is there.
amenities, education, social infrastructure is on ground. So you feel it, you experience it, you know your money is going somewhere. Ask the state governors, where has our money gone? I mean, I've been traveling around the country, which you call the jungle, right? As they're knocking Kemi Badenoch, they will knock you to Ayo. Because the jungle, I mean, is Nigeria. And I have seen that our states are literally glorified villages. There's nothing wrong in our states. They're all just like fallow land, but they need development. So literally, this time round, the APC has a point. And it's unfortunate that the opposition that should be looking at how they could show themselves better are not doing so. It's just unfortunate. But I blame, instead of talking about the politics, I blame Nigerian people. You need to hold these people accountable. If they were not receiving more money, we would say they have a point. They have been receiving more money. So what have they done with it? Even if it's not much, what little can they show they have done to improve the people's lives in this harsh economy of T-Pain?
These are the questions. Okay, Devoe. Before we leave this particular story, there was a comment that was made by Laji Idris there, and he said that Nigerians will feel the benefits of these reforms in 2025. Now, this government has been in office well over a year. Now, what are the guarantees that these benefits will be felt in 2025 that we haven't felt any of it up until this point? I mean, we're at the end of 2024 right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's also politics. In every government, what you have, economic reforms take time. I mean, there's no gainsaying there. Economic reforms take time. However, in planning strategy, you have long-term strategy, you have medium term, and you have short term, meaning
Right.
there's the one that will gain within 1 year, there's the one that will gain within 2 years, there's the one will gain at the end of the tenure. That is the reality. Just like in America, most times the Democrats build back the economy, the Republicans come and destroy it.
Are you there, Devoe? Network, please be kind. Please be kind. We need to
And
get
just
through
when
that.
the
Okay, he's back.
lose election and the Republicans take all the glory, reforms is going to take measures. What are the short-term measures? For example, the duty-free importation of some staple goods like husk brown rice, wheat, beans, sorghum, that the federal government said that they would push into the market to lower the prices. That one was within their control. They still haven't done that. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Right, right, right.
CNG conversion. You supposed to at least provided 40 million with the increased subsidy that you've received. Have about 40 million free kits available so that as many commercial drivers can get converted and start enjoying cheaper fuel to lower the transportation costs for the masses. They haven't done that. I mean, come on. The little you've not done, we're talking about the much.
All right, thank you for sharing those thoughts, Devoe. Let's still stay in the punch right now as we take our next story here. It's about another minister, but in this case, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo. Now, he says the Fly Nigeria Act will transform into law under his watch. Now, he lamented that the document, which is expected to make it mandatory for government-financed air transportation of government personnel, contractors, grantees, and properties to be carried by Nigeria Air flag carriers has yet to materialize more than 15 years after it was first proposed. Now, I mean, just hearing this more than 15 years after Devoe, I mean, why has it taken this long? Why would it take this long for this piece of legislation to actually scale through on one hand? And on the second hand, we know the issues that are abound in the aviation sector. We know how these airlines are struggling and so on and so forth. Will there be a conducive enough environment for these airlines to actually be able to, should I say, work and do what they need to do under this act if it comes to fruition?
Well, first of all, I need to first commend the Minister of Aviation in person of the minister because we just spoke about economic reforms that are not working, right?
Right.
So in this case, I told you the little that they can do it. So in this case, you have a 15-year reform that hasn't taken place, but this minister, at least he has control of this aspect. And he's now saying what was in the law before, let us implement it. And what they're simply saying is that currently, as you know, they have, what's the word? They terminated the last Nigeria Air national carrier contract.
We can't hear you, Devoe. Are you still there? Sometimes the ghouls and gremlins. We'll try to get Devoe back in just a moment. Let us keep it tuned to Freshly Pressed right here on Smooth 98.1. Okay, looks like Devoe is back on the line. And yes, we'll continue the conversation. All right, Devoe, welcome back. The ghouls and gremlins did not win at the end of the day.
Yeah, so as I was saying, that's this minister, what he intends to do is to what he can control in terms of getting government workers, contractors to follow Nigeria Air. Okay. But because we don't have a Nigeria Air, what they're implementing is flag carriers, meaning the likes of Air Peace, E-Bomb, and so on, right? Government workers, they will now be established with flag carrier status, okay? And it will be now mandatory for government workers to follow Nigerian planes when they travel locally and abroad, which basically helps push up our naira because we're doing business with ourselves. Two, it helps them monitor and then also lower the cost that most times government workers would spend if they're looking for FX or SDACO to fly abroad. This is a great move forward. Like I said, do the little you can with what you have, and you will see Nigeria move forward.
All right, do the little with what you have and what you can. Nigeria definitely will move forward. Let's take a quick break right now. When we come back in, we'll take more stories this morning, as well as your thoughts and contributions on Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. When the sound changed, I knew you're already in the
yes, but even before then, were you hearing me?
Yeah, I could. Then at some point, it would just cut off and you would freeze and whatnot. However, it's not that you are in town. Are you here for Christmas? Wow. Carry us join body now. We say join one or two. It's not easy on these streets. Yeah. So let's talk. So the kind of one is the third one. That's number 4. Okay. Welcome back to Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It's a beautiful hump of the week, Wednesday morning, 47 minutes past 7 a.m. Ayokunmi here. Devoe also with me, taking a look at the stories and, of course, giving his analysis as well. We're looking forward to you sharing your thoughts with us on this one. So WhatsApp is right there, 0809-444-0981 is the WhatsApp number. YouTube, you can drop your comments there at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, still stay right here in the Punch. It's been, stories coming out of the Punch newspaper this morning. Hey, that's where we have to be. The governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, on Tuesday said he doubted if the release of the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, would end the pervasive insecurity in the southeast. Now, he argued that criminals had hijacked the Biafran struggle and were now exploiting said struggle and Kanu's need to perpetrate organized crime and fuel insecurity in the southeast region. this issue of Nnamdi Kanu's release, supposedly ending the problems, the violence, the insecurity, and so on and so forth in the southeast. Now, Anambra State governor has said he doesn't think that is going to happen because, unfortunately, some quote unquote non-state actors have hijacked the struggle therein and using that to their own advantage. I mean, is the Anambra State governor spot on here?
Yeah, I think he is, and I like the fact that he's taking responsibility for the narrative because for a long time what we've heard is until the release now become it won't end. However, while they're seeking some kind of political solution, because it just seems as if the legal solution has been twisted and turned into some kind of politicization. However, we know currently that the um, terrorism that's taking place, or the terrorizings of citizens, especially with the sit-down Mondays, and sometimes they even add Tuesdays to it, is still going on, all in the name of that the leader has not been released. Now, in as much as the governor is saying that Nnamdi Kanu has disassociated himself with it, it's clear, and I like the way he put it, that criminals have taken advantage and have been more or less terrorizing people, kidnapping, causing all form of mayhem, murdering, all in the name of the Biafran struggle. Okay, as we always say, we must repeat: self-actualization is constitutionally protected. Anybody can decide that they want to. It's not a crime to even speak about it, be it Odua group or the Arawa group or the Biafrans, anybody or the Jaws. They can say, well, we want to live on our own. That's fine. But you must go through constitutional methods. Now, the problem here is that in as much as he's taking responsibility for the narrative, I want to see, even though he said that they're going to launch one operation, what do you call it? Operation Udogach, meaning Operation Peace Shall Reign, a statewide security. He stated something that the people know who these criminals are. They live amongst the people, otherwise known as unknown gunmen, okay? Even though there's a sentiment that those people are there to help you, when initially the Southeastern Security Network was formed, which was supposed to protect the Southeast from the umbrage of the killer herdsmen.
Right.
Unfortunately, it has turned upside down on its back and it's imploded. It's hurting them directly. You don't spite your tongue and your feet and you tell yourself that you're going to be any better. What I want to see is not just even Governor Soludo from Anambra speaking. I want to see the 5 Southeastern governors rally together, rally not just as governors, rally with their top politicians, their top private sector players, top monarchs, local leaders, and citizens, and see how they can together bring not just peace to the Southeast, bring some form of development. You know, at the end of the day, we can trace back insecurity to underdevelopment. Right. Like I said, I've been running through the jungle for what you call Nigeria, right? Or where I call Nigeria, what you call the jungle. What am I trying to say? Nigeria is a beautiful country. There's nothing wrong with the Southeast. If you go there, you see beautiful land, arable land, plenty fresh fruits, good food, good people. So why do we have such poisonous attitudes and behavior when it comes to development? I've always said it. When they say, oh, Igbos should leave Lagos, it's all politicking. But at the end of the day, why are 75% of the real estate investments in Lagos coming from the Southeast? Same thing in Abuja. Simply because the Southeast does not have infrastructure. I've noticed that Igbos go around anywhere there's infrastructure. So, and I'm saying this so that people understand that we can make that difference. There's nothing here that we can't resolve, okay? If the Southeast requires a port so that we can ramp up industrialization and commerce, maybe the 5 Southeastern governors need to make a position through the National Assembly senators and House of Rep people that we need either the Onitsha port or the Warri port or the Port Harcourt or the one in Calabar. We need it to be ramped up in your fronts with 4 moribund refineries. A private sector individual put 20 billion down with the help of obviously strategic partners, and you have a refinery that's working, if not for the gymnastics that the government and NNPC are playing with him, right? However, the Southeast Igbo capital world over can literally lift any nation from nothing to something. So show examples, show your workings. All the Igbo capital around the world is not just saying Agbabola, and then at the end of the day, your states are full of insecurity. Bring that Agbabola muscle. Get the federal government through some kind of political understanding to give you a pot to bring to life, and let's get the Southeast working.
But the thing is, Devoe, some would argue that yes, that this is something that the Southeastern, the government and all that wants to happen. But is there some resistance coming from the other end in terms of from the center not wanting to align?
This is not a center issue because sometimes people just dog the whole thing in politics and history. The Southeast can do what it wants for itself. We just spoke about in the first story how PDP and Labour were up against APC. And I told you the president was right. Every state has gotten 50 to 70% increased inflow. Nobody's accounting for that. So at the end of the day, it's not a completely hopeless situation. Any state can make itself the pride of investment by putting the enabling laws to attract investment. That's how it's done like that. When they were calling Dangote a monopolist, what did he say? He said, I put $100 million to buy the land in Lagos. Even though some people are like, oh, we didn't know money went down. We don't see that money. That's another issue. Somebody brought money in, and yet it was not shared round, even though it went to the state governments, right? But the point is,
a large amount of money.
Yes. So the point is, every state should do the needful to get investors because there's all you need in these states. Let's take the conversation beyond this back and forth over insecurity. When at the end of the day, we're the ones doing ourselves.
When at the end of the day, we're the ones doing ourselves. We've been talking about insecurity, and of course, our next story is still bordering on that. Some huge numbers coming out. This is from The Guardian. Now, a report by the National Bureau of Statistics, the NBS. I've talked about the NBS a number of times this week already. They've been quite in the news. Now, that report has revealed that about 2.2 trillion naira was received by kidnappers as ransom within 1 year. Now, the survey, which produced estimates at national and zonal levels, covering both urban and rural areas for a 12-month period of May 2023 to April 2024, also disclosed that abductions are more prevalent in rural areas than in urban areas. Devote 2.2 trillion naira, and these are the numbers that have been reported. The ones that are underreported, not even factored in here.
Yeah, averaging about 2 million per kidnap. So when you're going by road or you're inside your car, just have an uncle or aunt somewhere that can cash out 2 million for you. That's a joke. But the point is this. Unfortunately, this is not a good statistic to be read. That 2.2 trillion is an industry. Kidnapping and abduction has become an industry, whereby it's not just big men that abduct these days. They abduct you and me. I mean, I've been seeing so many memes on social media regarding one chance and how people entered unsuspecting cars and before they knew it, powder was poured on their face and they were robbed, or it's a case where you're held down and then people are asking for you to then be released based on ransom. It doesn't also tell a good story about our internal security, and I'm referring to the police. I mean, we got some pepper soup jobs all the way from the UK, but the truth is, instead of talking about the problems, what are the solutions? By now, even though I heard that the Council of State has approved for state policing, it's too late in the day. By now, I expected part of the Tinubu Shetima reform, because he said it during his campaign that he would. That was when we mentioned that give them agbado, give them beans, right? Ramp up by now based on your renewed hope agenda that you would have ramped up the police from 250 to about 1 million. How long does it take to do entrance exam? There are 200 million, almost half of the population is under or unemployed. By now, we should have ramped up the police to at least 500,000, double the numbers, so that we can start dealing with some of these internal security. What they call ungoverned spaces is if you travel, especially in the north, if you're traveling up north, between one city or one village to another village is like 2 to 3 hours. And you're not going to see a police post until you get to that place. So if
that's ridiculous.
Yes. So if terrorists or herdsmen or bandits attack one village and they're screaming and shouting, even if they put out a call, it will take at least 2 to 4 hours for any form of security. That is, if they can arrive, do arrive. So that shows you how exposed and a threat that we're in. So by now we should be marshalling not just state policing to ramp up the numbers. On the federal side, you ramp up to 500. State police produce another 500,000. By the end of the year, we have 1 million police officers on ground to show up our security. Come on, Nigeria. These things are not difficult. They don't require all these long meetings doing Abada
committees and
Baba Riga wearing a red cap to go and sit and discuss what? Give me 1 million police officers. How much have we voted into the army? Instead of buying MRAP that gets hijacked and we lose $600,000, give me 1 million police officers. Take a portion of the money that goes to the military, chuck it into the police, ensure they get trained. Let's get higher. We'll come back in after 4 generations. We'll still be discussing insecurity. Please.
Let's do some messages this morning. It can be quite a frustrating situation. You know, talking about the same things when you discuss these things, you talk about the solution. I mean, they are right there at the bridge of your nose. But then again, rinse and repeat at the end of the day. Shola on WhatsApp says, they receive more allocations, but the Naira is more worthless. Their previous allocations could do more. Don't forget that a lot of infrastructure development is priced in dollars. Okay. Thank you for sharing your thoughts there. Eddie Murphy says, good morning to you. Is Festus Kiamo's plan going to see the light? Remember, it's these same government officials that rejected our homemade innocent vehicles for obvious reasons.
Yes, they call it executive will. If the executive will it, it will happen, right? Maybe when they wanted a new jet, what happened? Despite Nigerians not wanting, or even the National Assembly denying, didn't they buy the jets? So if they want Nigerian officials to follow Nigerian planes, it will happen.
It will happen. Idima Pusa says, why is it that money realized from fuel subsidy becoming rocket science being used to finance finance CNG Wahala to help the poor masses? Why is it that any policy concerning helping the poor would always jamrock? May God help Nigeria. I like that, jamrock. Who's talking to us here? Michael says the police are too proud to retrace their steps. They will never accept advice from the people who need their help. They believe we are the problem and not them. With all the stories I've been hearing about the police recently, they need to take a look at the mirror. Really. Tony from Ikeja says the statistics released by the MBS, as staggering as it sounds, is still far below the reality. I alluded to that on the reported situations. The figures have ridiculed the kind of kidnapping news we used to hear from Colombia and Mexico combined. This is the legacy that both the military and civilian governments have bequeathed on the Nigerian nation. It also says more on the quality of the Nigerian leadership.
Yes, I have to say this. Let me add this. The Kemi Badenoch series. I'm still awaiting her to talk more and talk down on Nigeria, because it seems like if we only wake up when people from outside speak about it. Unfortunately, we have to.
Do we wake up though?
We do, because she's been trending for this is 3 weeks now. We need to stop this living in denial. The standard of living, I'm responding to that story of MBS statistics, 2 trillion, and also the statistics of the country's financial position. We need to face the truth about our scenarios. If you cannot face the truth that, oh, you're in debt, and you need to find ways to make hard decisions, you're not going to move anywhere. Like an ostrich, you will put your head in a hole. Obviously, the world has moved past you, and you're here, what do you call it? Massaging your egos over who says something nice about you. When the presidency took the economic decision of removing the subsidy and FX harmonization, he didn't have an option. It wasn't as if he was being brilliant. The country was broke. That's what happened. The country was broke. Now, the point is this: you have to take the same action out on corruption, okay?
Right.
It shouldn't be because you're after hunting your political enemies like a Emefiele that you find out that some people stashed 756 billions. If to say Emefiele was on their side, we would have discovered that estates. So the question is this: Nigerians, you need to face the situation. Standard of living. This is the poverty capital of the world. We shouldn't be proud that there's only 1% of the 1%, meaning a few people have all the money. That's a stark case of that. The council called inequality. It's not right.
Gross inequality.
You shouldn't be looking at a rich man because not everybody has to have a billion. No, if you can take care of your basic minimums, food, light, housing for your family, you're okay. That's the kind of country that used to be in this country, as Chinua Achebe would say. There was a country. Come on, Nigerians, wake up and stop stewing in a mess or try to put perfume and what do they call it? Perfume and makeup on a pig. Come on, this behavior.
Tony from Marine Beach says, sincerely, if we can see among the Eastern governors the same willingness and readiness to serve the people, devoid of selfish pursuits, like we see in the administration of Abia State currently, the story of the Igbo nation will take a total turnaround in the next 8 years, and they'll become the envy of not just the nation, but of Africa and the world as well. Finally, Dara from Fagba says, there's a saying that good thinking, good product, and bad thinking, bad product for Kemi Badel. She doesn't want to relate with a bad product. Remember, the world is a global village. Looking at the way this government came into power, thank you for sharing your thoughts there, Daya. We need to call it a morning at this point. Thank you for all the thoughts. Thank you so much, Devoe, for gracing us with your presence in the studio this morning.
Welcome to Nigerians. Keep it real as we get to your December.
All right, keep it real, and of course, have a great Wednesday. And keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1. The Smooth Breakfast will continue. We'll get into the world of sports in the locker room at 8:50. Don't go anywhere.